Hello, welcome to this review of the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Starter Set. This is by Cubicle 7. This is Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay's 4th edition. Previous edition, the third, was by Fantasy Flight Games under license from Games Workshop. I think the previous two were by Games Workshop itself. Maybe the second was under the Black Library, or Black Industries, I forget what it's called, imprint. But this, we're looking at the 4th one. And so this is by Cubicle 7, and there's the back of the box. It's already looks super lovely. Just its presentation is lovely. I'll give you a little overview of what's in here, but I thought we'd just go over, have a look what's in the box. First, to my left, if you're a regular viewer of my channel, you know that somewhere near there is a cat, and hopefully you can hear him purring if I move the mic. He is a standard feature on the channel. His name is Hobo, if you want to know, because he was a stray cat that turned up at my house one day, so we called him Hobo, because I am great at naming things. Anyway, let's have a look, let's get it off. So the first thing I'm going to do, take the lid off, but straight away you're going to flip the lid, because inside the lid is the GM screen. Now this is quite nice, you can just sort of stand it up in front of you or have it flat in front of you. You can use it as perhaps a GM screen and a dice rolling tray. It's got all sort of the rules here really briefly, just in here, so you can just go over things really quick to look up. Probably the most important thing is going to be sort of hit locations in combat. I'm never going to remember that, so that's going to be useful. I'll probably make my own screen, which I tend to do. But yeah, let's carry on. So in the box, first things first, are two D10s, and these are Q Workshop dice, so that's really nice, and they're custom for the game. So what you got here is you got this really nice design on. Unfortunately, I got my camera locked off, so for zoom, but so it's not going to look that good. So if you can see that, it's got this like little wooden shield type design. So you have the units there, 1 to 10, and then you have the 10s here, which is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, you know, etc. So there your 10s, so you roll there, so that would be 59. Yay! It's a very percentile based game, which is really handy, moving away from sort of Dungeons & Dragons D20, which is nice. Next up you have all these tokens here. Now these are advantage tokens. They're coloured, so you can give one to each of your 6 players here. So these would be for the players, this section. So you have red, blue, purple, green, yellow and cyan. And these ones here I think are for the monsters, for the DM, I believe. So that's what they are. So you know there's 6 characters, pre-gen characters in this, which we'll look at in a minute. Next up, read this first. So this is a fold out, very nice, bit of a blur on the back there. It folds out and effectively tells you what each of the components are in the set. Goes through roughly what is a role-playing game, how do you play it generally, just a really quick paragraph general overview, what role the GM does, how do you get started, and this is well useful because if you're totally new to a gaming system, which sometimes I sort of need this, it tells you what next. I mean, you could look at this as an advertisement, but this is actually quite useful. I wish more games do this, because you've played through the introductory game and you want to go, what do I buy next? You don't want anything too heavy, too above your players. So this will tell you sort of roughly where to go next. And as I said, it just explains all the different things you have in the game. So that's really nice. Next up is this. Now this is awesome. This is a guide to the Uberschreck, which is the city that this is based in. It's a nice thick book. It's not a pamphlet, it's a nice thick book. How many pages? Sort of 60 odd pages, 64 pages. It's full colour, and what it does, it's basically a guide of the Uberschreck, and the artwork is spectacular, which I've come to appreciate and love from Cubicle 7 products. Their Adventures in Middle-earth and One Ring products were amazing for this. So it gives you a brief sort of history of the town, tally years, what it's like in the present day, and it'll go through characters that are in here, major characters that you'll meet, major areas you'll visit and go to, and various bits and pieces like that, which is really cool. I'm going to go through that. As I say, it's quite an in-depth thing. Now, as someone who loves lore, this is great. Some characters, this is going to be great just to read and digest. I mean, I love heavy text products that you just read and get into, especially with maps. Always going to be useful. There you go. It even goes into the cults of so if you're into Warhammer, you'll recognise these: Khorne, Nurgle, Slaanesh, etc. all here and go over. You're going to be fighting chaos a lot. Next up is the adventure book. This actually contains the adventure, which is great. And what you'll find in here, it will, see if I can find an example quickly while I'm reading it upside down. Well, it mentions already here, Guide to Uberstrike here, it's going to refer to that guidebook a lot. So when you're reading it here, it might refer to, I can't find anything. I've seen it somewhere. It will just refer to something in the Uberstrike book and tell you the page to go to. So let's go. Hopefully there's something I can see quickly. There probably isn't. But around here, where it's talking about the market rights, and it will tell you to refer, if you want more details, go to page whatever in the book. I should just say quickly, here we are. Is this it? No. I should just say, yeah, that you might get a few spoilers in here, so if you're a player, maybe skip this bit to I close this book, just in case it ruins it for you. I mean, sorry, I may have already ruined it. There might be a riot going on in the market, but the GM is expected to read this. So yeah, this is a complete adventure, taking you from start to finish. But also in here, there are sort of more adventure seeds as well. So once you've gone through this, it will give you little bits here where you can go through and maybe get some ideas for adventures and characters you can use, enemies you can use. It's not complete by any shakes or sticks or anything, but that is why you'd then go and buy the main rulebook after this to get more details, which I quite like. Yeah, now we're going to go on to pre-gens. Now, you may be thinking, well, hang on, where's the rules? You've got the adventure book, you've got a guidebook, but how do you actually play the game? Well, this is where I quite like this compared to, say, other starter sets from other systems, where they normally have a rule book and an adventure book. And I always think when I get these, well, I've got the rule book, and I tend up not needing to buy any other product from it for ages, because that rule book is quite in depth. And I'm not saying this isn't; it does have the rules in, but it just, once you got the other starter sets, you got this almost referential rule book, whereas this does it in a slightly different way, which I really appreciate. The rules are here, so you're reading through this, and suddenly it tells you to do tests. And in this section here is all about the tests. This is simple tests, and you go through, there might be a bit more, and it will go introduce a more complex type of test, which is dramatic and opposed test. And we go through a bit more, and then a riot breaks out, and you got the combat rules here. So it's not something that's very easy to use as a reference material, but you can learn it straight away. All you've really got to do is make sure you've read most of this, or at least familiarised yourself for it, read through the adventure, and you're ready to go. You don't need to learn the rules. You're kind of doing it as you go along. That's what these little boxes are here. I found that a really, really good way of doing things. Excuse my cough. Yeah, sorry about that. So it's a really good way of doing things. So then by the time you get to here, you're doing more complex combats. You're going to be doing critical hits and things. And yeah, what this has done for me is it allows me to actually jump in, start playing the game, But also, it's left me wanting to actually go and buy the main hardback rulebook, which most start sets, when I got the start set, I don't feel the need to do that to at least a year or so later, because the main start sets normally allow me to have everything I need, and I just don't see the point. Whereas this is a very good way of doing it, and I'd like to see this more often. This gets you into the game. It's, you know, it's not that expensive. It's like £20, £22 recommended retail price, but you can get it for like £20 off Amazon. Sometimes I've seen it go down to £19. So this is just a superb way of getting into this rule set, seeing if you like it, without spending too much. And it's really simple. I just love the tests. So, you know, you have a test, you roll 2 dice that we've seen, you have a score for the test, say, and then you add your ability to it, and if you get under that result, you pass your test, kind of thing. And there's also then how much you pass your test. So you're doing this little workout. It's a bit of maths in here where you minus the 10s rolled from the 10s of the test you're trying to do, and that gives you a what they call it, an SL, which stands for success level. And I really like that. And then when you get to combat, you sort of apply the same thing, but then the combat can be really cool, because normally it's just like, oh, you hit the monster, that's good. Whereas this, it ends up telling you where you've hit the monster. You've hit it in the head, you've hit it in the arm, and then that will have an adverse effect on how things are going. And likewise for you, you're going to get hit in the head, you're going to get hit in the arm, and then how you're going to do that. And it seems like it's going to be really great, but at the same time really quite brutal and interesting, so I'm really looking forward to getting that played. So yeah, that's the adventure book. I'm not going to go too much into spoilers into what the actual quest is. I have read it. It's a really nice one. These aren't epic level of quests where you're going to save the world from being destroyed. It's quite nice and small, which I like. So next up, we've got pre-gen characters. There are 6 of these, I believe, so I'm going to get these all out. Hopefully. Come on. Stop showing off, box, and making me look stupid. I don't need your help to make me look stupid. And so what these are nice, a bit like the getting started. They're fold outs. You have a nice big art print on the back. So this is Elsa Sigleborn, Human Witch Hunter. I'm probably going to murder all these words. It gives you some quotation sort of thing they would say. And then here it gives you some little stuff. Yeah, so it gives you just a bit of information just to quickly read, to just get a grasp on who this person is. And inside is your test. Now the first thing is character explanation sheet. All of them have this, so you can give these to your players and they'll just know what each of this sort of means, what corruption means, what talent is, what resolve is, etc, etc. Here's the main stat sheet with all their information on. You got your main stats up here, your sort of armory stuff here, your talents, your basic skills of what they are here. So this is what numbers you'll be using to roll 2 dice to do tests against. But also what's good about Warhammer Fantasy is things like this. Where is it? You have secrets that you have here, which are negative traits to your character, because no one's really pious in this. Everyone's a bit dark and a bit grim. So I like this. And you can take 1 or more of these, so if you want you can take them all and be completely messed up, or you can just take 1. But for each secret you got here for the Witch Hunter, you get some extra money. So the more corrupt you are, I guess, the more money you got. Just like capitalism. Or corporatism, I should say. So yeah, that's cool. But then at the same time there's motivations here, so you can have things that make this character tick. And here there's just things to help out bring this character to life. Tells you their age, their height, hair, you know, that kind of thing. Description, even their mother and father, siblings. That's great. Tells you where they were born. So you can really get a feel for who this person is. So that's the Witch Hunter. Next up, we have Amris, and I can't read that upside down. Brilliant. The High Elf Merchant. So, and that's the other thing about Warhammer Fantasy, which I like about other games. It's not all just characters of, I'm a warrior, I'm a big wizard. It's just general everyday characters. I think in the main book you can end up being a butcher, which I think's amazing. A butcher going on an adventure. That's just brilliant. That's the sort of thing it is. Same sort of thing on the inside. So it's just there for him. And these are really well presented. This is quite This isn't thin paper, by the way. This is quite thick, sort of cardstock, quite a thick GSM on it. Here we go next. Excuse me. Ferdinand. He's a human wizard. I mean, now, most of these characters, I think, are quite familiar, if that makes sense. They're quite your standard hero architects. So, I think that's done just to get new people who have played role-playing games but haven't entered Warhammer Fantasy before, just to get them, make them feel at home a bit, rather than. But when I want to play, make our own characters up, I would like to see a baker and a butcher running around, getting into all types of trouble. Who we got next? We've got Morella, the Halfling Thief. Yeah, Halflings always thieves, but you know, really great artwork. And you'll notice there are male and female characters in here. I think they may be evenly split. I'm not too sure. It's 3 of 3. Once again, it's all. For pre-gens, these are really nicely done. Gunnar. He's a what's that football team called? Arsenal. Anyways, Gunnar. Dwarfslayer. You gotta have a Dwarfslayer in this, haven't you? Look at him. Look at him, tattooed, bearded, mohawked, psychopath-looking dude. Look at him. Again, it's got everything in it. Got his secrets, got his stuff. It's just brilliant. Here we got next. I think this is the last female. Oh, I've dropped it back in the box. It hates me. Salundra, the human soldier. Yeah, so these are all pretty much typical architects. But in the main book, you're going to get some weird and wonderful everyday people and then take them on exciting adventures. So there's that. Then next up, I've got a load of this stuff here. So I'm going to do get out of the box and make it easier. So we have an introduction to Uberschreck and the Empire. So really, if you wanted to jump straight in without reading the big guide, you might be able to get away with just reading this. If you've never entered Warhammer, the old world before, and you want to know what's what, especially in the Empire, this is going to give you a good quick overview. On the back, you can give this to your players so they can have it. If you've got a DM screen, you've got the conditions reference sheet. So if you tell them they're fatigued, I can just look this up and go, "Oh, I'm fatigued. What does that mean? Okay, I'm prone. I'm on fire. That can't be good. I'm ablaze. What happens? You know, good." And I should imagine I'll be getting this one a lot. Bleeding. Combat is brutal. Likewise, you have the attributes and skills reference sheet. So you can give them this. It tells them what the skills are, what's going on, what type of attribute is, and what the abbreviation is. They can use this cross-reference their character sheet, so they can know what BS means. It means ballistic skill and not the other BS. So that's cool. On the other side, it's a test reference sheet, so once you've gone through the rules with them in the adventure, they can have this, so in the future they've got something to refer to, so they know what's going on, because a lot of time you just sort of speaking to players and going through the rules, and you can tell sometimes new players, they look perplexed. Hopefully this will help out there, so they can just go through and go, okay, how do I do a simple test again? Oh, I've got it here. Cool. Really useful. I wish all starter sets do this. I think this is the whole point of a starter set, is to get people starting. I'm feeling that's what this does. Something they're probably doing a lot, combat. So you got a combat reference sheet. It goes through turns and rounds, breaks down what's going on, how to do combat with examples. Always good, because sometimes you have the rule explaining, like, well, how do I apply that? Got it here. Explaining what advantage is. And then this is fun, the injury table. I mean, look at some of these injuries you can have here. Critical wound table, gash, gut blow, winded, bruised, torn flesh. Let's have a look. I can't read that upside down. Flensed muscle, shattered bone, ruined, torn apart, you're dead. Well, it actually says there, you're dead. So yeah, critical wounds, that's just interesting. Not only you get hit in certain parts of your body, you can take different types of wound in that body. Great. And these are handouts for the players. So these, I believe, in eventually you give these right at the beginning. So these can be little rumours that they've heard, the stuff they know about, so they can go off. There's one for each player. I'd probably recommend photocopying these scanning them, photocopying them, printing them out, and then cutting them so you can keep these pristine if you're that kind of person. I might cut them myself, I don't know, probably scan them. But these are single-sided, obviously, because you don't want anything on the back here. But this is when they go shopping. Again, this is well useful. Normally you have to consult a book or something, but here's a shopping list of things you might be able to find and buy, and the prices and haggling and stuff like that. Explains currency conversion from all the different coin types. Excellent. Now, possibly my favourite thing in role-playing games are maps. So you have one's for the player and one's for the DM. Now, I'm assuming this is the player map because it's not as detailed, but it gives them a rough overview of where things are. So you can see this is the Duchy of Überschreik. So you can see the town here is here, and you can see the lands around it. I love this little shield showing you the families and their coat of arms. On the back of this is a close-up of map of the city. So if we compare this to, and that reminds me, I'll go back to the books in a minute. If you compare the maps here, not like here where it's the DM one, which I'm assuming is the DM one, just seems to have a lot more going on it. So here, and I'm not too sure which is which. I would assume, yep, no, because it tells me right there that that's the Game Master's map. Yes, and likewise on the back you have the town, and on the GM one there is a lot more on it with keys. So he's got little numbers here you can refer to what's what here. So they're really nice. I love maps. You can buy a poster map, which I'll probably buy, which I think are these, but in big form. And finally, just a handout here. Continue journey adventure starts here with Rough Nights and Hard Days, which I think is a really famous adventure that appeared in White Dwarf, like 87 or something, many moons ago. There's that. On the other side is a advert for a video game. And inside of the box, you have another map. So this is a map of the old world with Überschreik, around Überschreik. So you have the Dwarven Mountains here, Grey Mountains somewhere down here, Dwarven Mountains, there's Überschreik, the Carrock, which I forget that is. Anyway, yeah, the Grey Mountains, so there are. It's a Dwarven stronghold there. Yeah, Altdorf up there. Yeah, so this is a really fantastic starter set, and possibly one of the best ways I've seen to get into a game. Have these in some sort of order, put them back in order for me. Yeah, I mean, normally with starter sets, as I said, I've normally bought them and they have the rule book that is perfectly adequate to keep going. Now, this sounds like it's a negative when I say this isn't perfectly adequate to keep you going to play other games. You really could, really. You've got the rules here, you would learn them, but you're just not going to use it as a reference book. So I think this is a good way. It'll get you into the game, getting you how to play, and then the main rule book, the hardback book, is going to be great because it's going to take it to the next level for you. But one thing I just want to quickly show you about the art on the covers here. It's brilliant. So you have this little art here, this little art here, and you can probably see already that once you put them together, it makes a big picture of Überschreik. Look at that. That is amazing. It's stunningly beautiful. Fantastic. So all in all, this is a top quality product. For the money you pay for it, it's superb. So let's package this away. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay starter set, one of my favourite starter sets I've got. I mean, I thought the 5th edition D&D knocked it out of the park, and I thought the Essentials kit knocked that out of the park, but this is just amazing. This is how I want all starter kits to be. Well done, Cubicle 7. You've done a spectacular job of a starter set, just nailing it. You want a book that will get you into it quickly, getting the adventure game quickly played without having to read the rules first, really. I mean, but probably one's idea to go through it, but normally you have to sort of read it. Here you can just play. You read it, play, and it's explaining the rules as you go along. The pre-gen character is good, and it's left me wanting to actually go and buy the main rulebook, which most starter sets don't, because I've got everything I need in it for quite a while to begin with, to create my own adventures, to carry it, take it to the next level. So yeah, this is fantastic. So yeah, highly recommended. thank you for watching, everyone. If you like what you see and you haven't already, have a subscribe. We've got more great stuff coming on the channel. If you have subscribed and watching this, thank you. And if you have watched this and haven't subscribed, thank you. Yeah, basically, thank you for watching. Until next time, guys, take care.